I found Bitcoin as the most effective tool for liberation, to bring freedom to the world. I noticed that what actually brings the most freedom is technology. We love to discuss Menger or Hayek, and we might be right about free market, but I didn't see that many real-world examples coming out of these ideas, while Bitcoin seems to be like the pure manifestation of them. The more people use uncontrollable money in their daily life as their method of savings, as their medium of exchange, the less monetary control the government will have over us. At the end of this road, there lies a hyper-Bitcoinized society where governments simply cannot finance anything unless they ask their citizens to. Government will need to be trimmed down to necessary things.
What are you actually doing at Albi? You're doing, like, you're working full time in Bitcoin at Albi, from what I understand.
I work at Albi part-time. I do, I don't know, you can call it marketing, anything that is user-facing, but also some partnerships with projects that we cooperate with. So I'm on this side of the team. We have quite a few good devs, UX designer. I'm also helping a support team. There is one person at the support team. Yeah, you know how it is. It's still a startup. We are a small team, 8-9 people. So basically, you do everything that is helpful for the project.
And but you are
marketing tasks. Yeah.
But you work full time with Bitcoin stuff. Like you only do Bitcoin, or do you have some other jobs next to it?
No, not a job, not jobs. I have some projects, right, on my own, but most of them are Bitcoin related. Yes, and yeah, no, Albi is my job, and the other are, like, side projects or gigs or something that I plan running.
Interesting. How did you get involved in so many Bitcoin things? Like, how did you get involved with working in Bitcoin?
I like most of my recent life, I've been like on project base, freelance somewhere, and I've been a libertarian activist for many years. I still consider myself I am. So then when I discovered Bitcoin and got orange pilled, this libertarian freedom activism, local here in Poland, turned into Bitcoin activism. So I helped translate and publish some Seyfriedin books. I organized local meetups in Warsaw. I arranged 21 community here in Poland. I organized Bitcoin Film Fest. That's how also I think through Bitcoin Film Fest and through some mutual friends I got in touch with Albi, who at the time where I had some spare resources, spare time on my own, they reached out to me and we got in touch. Yeah, there is a match. I could join a team, so I'm at Albi since 1.5 years. Yes, I mean. I'm in Bitcoin. I'm interested in Bitcoin because I'm interested in freedom. Because this is kind of one of my crucial values that I pursue in life. If I would find a better tool to heal money than Bitcoin, I would probably be. Bitcoin maximalism is not Bitcoin ultimate maximalism. There is a reason why, at least me, are advocating for Bitcoin, and my reason there is many reasons, but the core one is, I guess, freedom. I always cared about freedom, independence, autonomy in my life, and also in the world around me, because I like to see a world full of life and diversity, and where people are honest and doing the actions that they want to do and can do. So most of my adult life, I run a libertarian NGO called Center of Capitalism in Poland, where every 2 years with my friends we organize the biggest such conference in Poland called Weekend of Capitalism. Next one is coming this May in Warsaw. And running this NGO, I've been involved in very many like smaller projects, publishing some books, organizing some economic seminars. We opened a bar called Freedom Lounge in Warsaw, which you can still visit. It's right in the center of Warsaw. It's libertarian themed. I worked in some publishing agencies, so most of my jobs and projects over the last 10 years were freedom related. I became very well networked within kind of libertarian movement locally and internationally. So it also I can use this as a leverage in my projects. And yeah, this is, I guess, how my career went. But it's I'm very satisfied with it because this is where currently my skills are. But since childhood, I guess my heart is.
Interesting. I also I talked about that a lot on the podcast. I consider myself a Bitcoin maximalist, but only because I am a free market maximalist, and I think in a free market, Bitcoin will win, and we have a free market, and that's why I don't see any other options. I don't see fiat as an option. I don't see altcoins as an option, and I'm purely focused on Bitcoin, not because I'm in love with Bitcoin, but I'm in love with the free market, and Bitcoin represents all those values for me. So I think it's more around that topic. So in a sense, it's just like how you phrase it. But do you think that in addition to that, that Bitcoin is kind of enforcing more capitalism, more liberalism, more free market onto our world, because it's like it's like a force, like a train that's coming our way, and it's not leaving anyways?
Precisely, yes. I found Bitcoin as simply the most effective tool for liberation, as to speak, to bring freedom to the world. You know, doing these conferences, seminars, demonstrations, some political activism, bars, lounges in Poland. Over the years, I came to, unfortunately, not very optimistic conclusion that most of stuff that I do, that we do, as, let's call it libertarian movement, they are not working. They don't bring much effects, and you know, you can spend lots of effort, lots of human resources and capital into, let's say, every year organizing an economic seminar where you teach classic economics, works of Menger, Mises, Hayek, Bastiat. Every year, and you can have hundreds of very smart students there who might become leaders or activists, etc. The effects of such libertarian activism, at least in the range that I've experienced, the effects are very minuscule. The effects can be overwhelmed with virus, with a political leader, with a wind of change. The effects of educating society might come. They will not for sure come, but they might come, and they might come in 5, 10, 20 years. In between those, many other things could happen, and you just don't see direct consequences of bringing freedom this way. And I noticed that what actually brings the most freedom is technology. I guess that you know, Uber or Airbnb coming to Poland brought more freedom, as in a sense of specter of actions that you could do, that you are free to do, the specter of possibilities. Probably, you know, some technological companies or innovations, they brought much more freedom to my world, my life, and to life of society than any activism that we did with libertarian movement. And then when you discover Bitcoin, you can see that, oh, whoa, this actually brings freedom on a personal level. You know, being interested, most of, I guess, our listeners can confirm that getting interested in Bitcoin gets them interested in libertarian ideas, in understanding economics, in understanding monetary systems. It brings them freedom because perhaps they got wealthier by saving in Bitcoin. It brings freedom on societal level because we can use money which is not designed to finance war, and which is not financing war, and which is not used and overused by politics, but the money that was designed to bring freedom and is used for voluntary interactions between people who use Bitcoin. So I just find Bitcoin just as a tool that brings the most freedom out of all other tools that I tried.
Interesting. I love the Uber example with technology, because when you when you look at what Uber has done to the taxi industry, they decentralized the market in a way where everyone can be a taxi driver and an Uber driver. They brought transparency in the game. Now, previously, I don't know how it was in Poland or in America or in other places in the world, but in Austria, you got into the taxi and you got to know how much you pay at the end of the ride. With Uber, you know it before you even enter the car. So they brought transparency in the market. You're like, okay, I will pay that like $20 for that ride. I'm not paying that. I don't want that.
And some clarity, yes.
It's clarity.
I saw that there is biggest psychological comfort that Uber brings is that knowledge that you know upfront, not only how much you're gonna pay, but also how long you're gonna wait. Okay, now it's I guess it's very often faked. Sometimes it tells me, "Oh, you will wait 3 minutes." Then I start a timer, and it's actually 8 minutes. So Uber sometimes maybe lies to me, and yes, I can understand that. But yes, this type of thing that you don't have to wait, that you can book it and then put your shoes on and leave. This brings lots of psychological comfort. But yes, it brings lots of much more. I can use taxi much easier, much cheaper. Drivers can make money much easier, much cheaper. There is also lots of other technologies on the side, credit card payments, which also are easier. They are not yet that good as micropayments are on Lightning Network, for example. But this is something that was not, I guess, in Poland possible 20 years ago. And the phone, and then you can see there is some Google Maps or some other maps and satellite GPS behind. So it's not just Uber, of course, but lots of this as a general technology brings freedom, and yes, Uber is a good example.
I love that. Yeah. And one more aspect to that is the opening up the market. Like it made, taxi driver more accessible. It's not permissionless as Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin is fully permissionless. You can use Bitcoin without any gatekeeper. So Uber is not completely permissionless because there's like Uber in your way, but it's way more permissionless than the traditional taxi industry. So I see a lot of, and we could go down through like all the technology advancements that we had with electricity, with the internet itself, with so many different apps or like even social media podcasting. Like 20 years ago, I had to be a news anchor on some television channel. Now everyone can do it themselves and just go on YouTube and open up a show. And if you're doing good, you will be a great hit and you will do really good. If you're bad, nobody will watch your stuff. so there's like a lot of things happening to that. And I love how Bitcoin brings on the most important base layer, money, exactly all those permissionless, transparency, decentralization into the game. That's really fascinating to look at that.
Yeah, because Uber, that's a good point, that Bitcoin is a base layer, right? For it brings freedom to whole economic, and economic not in terms of business, but I guess every decision is after all economic decision. That it brings us freedom to most of activities, most of actions that we do in life. Uber brings us freedom, yes, but in the context of getting somewhere or driving someone and making money on it, or Airbnb in terms of accommodation, yes, but Bitcoin being this base of any exchange, mostly voluntary exchange, or money as being this base of voluntary exchanges and the medium of them, having next generation of this technology that is much more free in terms of uncensorability, accessibility, and also not being controlled by basically any one authority. It's a great advancement for great manifestation of libertarian ideas in the real world. Because before Bitcoin, I felt doing this, coming back to the libertarian activism, I felt like we are in somehow maybe ivory towers where, yes, we love to discuss Menger or Hayek, and we might be right about free market, but I didn't see that many real world examples or practicalities coming out of these ideas, while Bitcoin seems to be like the pure manifestation of them for me.
I think that's a great thing. It's like you can educate the world as much as you want, but in the end of the day, you have to incentivize them to educate themselves in a way. And Bitcoin is bringing that incentive in there. Like Bitcoin is incentivizing people to care about those libertarian ideas more because they're kind of forced into that. Like it's an interesting idea to think about. I don't know if you can educate the whole world on libertarian ideas. It's probably easier to bring a free monetary standard that brings those libertarian ideas as a given in there, like a nature law in there, and people then can still talk about socialism and communism, and people still try to put socialism and communism and all the other things on top of Bitcoin. But it will not work as good because it's for all those things you need to control the money, and if you cannot control the money, you are in a more libertarian and more capitalist society,
Well,
as I see it.
they could launch a communist cashew mint and then like issue some tokens on top of Bitcoin, which they would have under control. Yeah, this the same analogy before Bitcoin we used to have in the libertarian movement again. That in capitalist society it wouldn't be a problem, or a free society, which is kind of the same. You could build a communist subgroup. You could rent some land or loan something or go to mountains. Build your commune. Even it doesn't have to be on one territory. But in communist society, you couldn't build a libertarian sub society in it.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing with altcoins, right? Like everyone tries to get to the next Bitcoin. Like everyone wants to have another Bitcoin, and that's why we have now even the president launching a coin of his own, where he has the pre-mine, where he controls it. But in the end of the day, those things are only temporary there. So they can do that. They can try to launch some tokens that they can control, but like nobody will care long term. Short term maybe, but you really, if you want to control society on a Bitcoin standard, you have to provide value, which is a huge thing. Do you think there's such, like, if we actually live on a Bitcoin standard, do you think, or maybe let's go from a more abstract thing. What do you think will change once we move more towards a Bitcoin standard and the money is kind of free?
Well, I could only guess, but one of the biggest potential outcomes that is often, I would not be original here, is often brought up by Bitcoiners, is that the more people use Bitcoin, the world doesn't have to be hyper Bitcoinized for this to happen, but the more people use uncontrollable money in their daily life as their method of savings, as their payments, medium of exchange, the less monetary control the government will have over us. And at the end, the less they could take from us in form of inflation, but also in form of taxation, because it's much harder to tax Bitcoin. And also, at the end of this road, there lies a hyper Bitcoinized society where governments simply cannot finance anything unless they ask their citizens to. It could be taxation, or it could be maybe some voluntary payments, but either way, today, basically by giving government control over money and its distribution, we allow them to finance whatever they want and for how much they want. And at the end of this road, where there hopefully would not be people would not use this shitty government money, the government, to go for a war or to finance some great 5-year social welfare project. They cannot just finance it and then asks for payments later in forms of, I don't know, big credits. So let's simplify it to money printing. They would need to convince their people that, hey, we have this project, we want to go for a war, or we want to build this huge educational facility, let's chip in. There wouldn't be any other option unless maybe government makes money somewhere, but then making money on the free market, it doesn't make it different than being a company. So I guess we don't have to call it government if it's not somehow monopolistic in forms of today in lots of forms. But at the end of the road, we, by trimming down the usage of fiat government money, we will trim down the possibilities of actions that the government can finance with it, with the control of this money. So at the end of this road, again, on a hyper-Bitcoinized society, government will need to be trimmed down to necessary things, and I believe those necessary things are the institutional use of retributory force, some police, some army to protect from outside enemies, and some judiciary system. You don't need a monopoly over anything else to have a healthy society, and I believe Bitcoin brings it. It doesn't bring it only when we achieve the hyper-Bitcoinized world, but it's gradual. The more we stop using fiat money and this fiat system of control, the less power we give to government. So it can be slow. It can be, for some people, maybe not the tempo of these changes might not be satisfactory, but it's for sure much faster than bringing this change by convincing society to vote for freedom-oriented politicians.
It's in a way you get to have governments that are more service based, like you pay for the security that the government provides against other nation states, and less for like let's just collect taxes and we will tell you afterwards what we use those taxes. You just pay like capital gains tax, you just pay income tax, and you're like, but what are they actually doing with that money? You don't know. So you are basically saying we get more towards government actually have to show us we need that money to build out that security project. We need to get that money to make that road thing going. Like we get more towards a service based government, or maybe like private institutions or something like that.
Yeah, today don't even ask, right? Trump just does, executive order after executive order, changing his own decisions, and people are complaining that look at Trump, he's silly, and what does he do? No, it's not specifically him. Someone else would do it, and they do it. They have done it. It's the system that is flawed, and if we give to one person or institution or group such power, or basically any power which is not given voluntarily by citizens, it will be overused, and sometimes it might be overused to such comical levels. Yeah, let's hope this will end soon. Maybe not in my lifetime, but I at least enjoy fighting for it. And yes, personally, Bitcoin brings freedom also on personal level. Even if I don't think about society, it gives me some ability to, I don't know, hide my wealth, to grow my wealth, to keep it without eyes or control of government. Yeah, it's so many people say that to what you brought, that people, because of Bitcoin, get interested in some, the way economy works or state works, or even ask these important questions: what is state, what is money? And that's great. People maybe their motive at the beginning, and I guess for most of them, is some financial gains, so they come for gain and stay for the revolution, which is good, right? It's good that they stay for the revolution. If they stay for gains, maybe they should go somewhere else, and to these Trump coins or Melania coins. Probably those, there is also some funnel of people who who get interested in, Trump coin, and then they were like, oh, it's a money, I can use it as money. Let's ask myself this question. Let's be interested more, and maybe they come eventually to Bitcoin and stay for the revolution. I came for the revolution. I'm staying for the revolution. I don't see many gains yet, but this is not the goal here.
Interesting. Yeah, like so you came into Bitcoin for the revolution. So,
Yeah,
but
I mean that's what I said. I was for the revolution before Bitcoin and before I discovered Bitcoin, and I heard of it like in 2013 in some local Warsaw libertarian meetups. Somebody was giving away paper wallets, like printed private keys on paper sheets. I was like, oh yeah, this is finally this is it. Like Hayek was writing about this in nationalization or denationalization of money. Like this is a libertarian dream. We want money, not control enough, and the Fed. That was also the popular even in Poland, at least for in our group of 12 people statement. So yes, I was here for the revolution. Then I discovered Bitcoin. I forgot about it. I didn't understand that this actually works, right? Like, oh, this is a dream of some computer geeks who are libertarians. Then it took me another few years to like, shit, like why I was doing all these seminars and political demonstrations while the most efficient tool to bring freedom is, well, a bit omitted by libertarian movement. I feel a bit disappointed with it, and I'm happy to see that actually Bitcoiners become more libertarianized, they become more interested in freedom. Then libertarians are becoming interested in Bitcoin, but I guess it doesn't matter now. Bitcoin does its job for whatever your background ideas are, and so far it looks like it's doing its job in the direction of freedom. So yes, happy to discover this tool. It's already been, I don't know, maybe 4 years, maybe 5, that I can consider myself a Bitcoiner, that I fall down the rabbit hole and keep digging. But yes, the revolution was for me earlier, but I guess only with Bitcoin it really I regained hope that it could be successful, because for the moment I kind of lost it.
I love that. It's like the most efficient way to push freedom is to push Bitcoin. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
I guess it doesn't have to be Bitcoin, right? But the technology, I saw the technology is the most efficient way to bring freedom. And Bitcoin being this base layer for most of actions within society, at least, is the most liberating technological tool out there.
Interesting. Do you consider the internet being a bigger revolution than Bitcoin? It's interesting because last time a guest actually said that he's like, the internet is just there to enable Bitcoin. And I'm like, oh, like that. That's
Well,
an
the what?
interesting statement.
Internet what?
The last guest said that the internet is just there to enable Bitcoin, which I'm like, maybe an overstatement, because the internet is bringing a lot more. Maybe we could build everything on Bitcoin, but that's maybe not a good idea. Do you see Bitcoin as currently the biggest revolution going on, or is like the internet in the grind with that, or is internet bigger?
Well, internet is, I guess, without internet we wouldn't have Bitcoin, so it's hard to compare them. And internet, Bitcoin can also reshape the internet, and maybe we see it happening in Nostr. But yes, internet was giving. I was not there, but I know that for libertarian movement in 80s, 90s, internet was just the biggest hope. It finally brings freedom of speech. It brings uncontrolled communication and exchange of ideas. And now finally, when people could find these works of Hayek and Menger, even if they are not being pushed in schools or in their libraries, finally the world will learn what is true economy and what is proper philosophy, and the world will be free. Um, I don't think that experiment has failed, because on this kind of cultural changes, they have lots of inertia, and the internet still only, maybe since in the Western world since 5-10 years, we can say that internet is widely adopted. And I guess its form is not yet ultimate. That there is definitely some kind of capture of by platforms, platforms who also cooperate with governments, and they got preferential conditions for business. They cooperate with intelligence services. The government also mostly holds the infrastructure, which is also changing, right? And we need this change for internet actually to be libertarian tool. So there is no that much capture of the infrastructure and on the narrative level of the internet. I think today we unfortunately found ourselves there. So those libertarians from 80s or 90s, they might say that this experiment has failed. I think this is still ongoing, and I think it's also an example that the winning path of Bitcoin is also not certain. That it also there is possibility that it could be captured by maybe not even government, but if it's captured by some institution or by if it's not decentralized. In the future, then it something might happen with Bitcoin that happened with internet today, and we might complain that it's actually there is a problem with mining, with validation, with dark coins. So we need to keep that in mind, and it's hard to compare internet to Bitcoin, but I guess the adoption path of internet and adoption, this capture that happened and is still happening, and there is a battle of open source and centralized internet. It can give some kind of insight into what Bitcoin could bring. So I don't think the battle is won already, or that it will be won in the future. There is still lots of questions for both internet and Bitcoin, but the more such tools will be out there, because it's Starlink also, you might say that is also a technology that brings more freedom. Mobile phones and the fact that you can run your monetary node in your pocket is also something that came not from the government but brings more freedom. So the more such tools will be added, I don't know, open source large language models, the more chance will be that internet will actually, if looked back from the civilizational perspective, I don't know, 200 years in the future, when we look back on this time, this period, that actually internet has won our fight for freedom. Yeah, I believe that there is also under internet, there is, yes, infrastructural layer, but under all of this there is a base layer of culture and philosophy that is held by society, which whatever tools you bring to them, it might not be able to sustain them and use them for the right use. Maybe it's a bit too early that we as humanity I had nothing to do with it, I didn't add nothing, but let's say that we as humanity invented atomic power or DNA editing or Bitcoin or AI. Maybe we just it was just 200 years, and it's still ongoing process since we liberated since people of color or people of homosexual orientation got equal political rights, and it's still not global, right? So now we have, yes, these tools like Bitcoin, internet, open source AI, but the ideas that are prevalent in society, the memes, the culture, the philosophy, I don't think that it is necessarily freedom oriented. So we can only hope that, yes, this tool, and we can see that Bitcoin is a good example, actually, that it's a tool that actually can influence those philosophical layer, and this is always uplifting for me to see that there is so much interested in philosophy, culture, in the work of state, of theory of information among Bitcoiners, because it shows that when the freedom tool happens, it might influence those base layer that moves so slowly that change the philosophy of the common philosophy, the culture of society. It has so much more inertia. It's so much more difficult task that publishing books or organizing seminars, as I said before, might bring effect but might not. while having those tools like open source, Bitcoin, internet, we might eventually maybe change mindset of humanity. And yes, the direction of society will be in the direction of freedom, but it's not given. So I don't even know if I'm optimistic about it, to be honest. But I mean, for the right, I'm sure that it will take generations, so we will not see the end result anyway. I'm here for the right, and I know that this is the direction I want to go with my career and my passion.
I partnered up with Coin Vigilante. This is the most beautiful Bitcoin timepiece that I ever saw created by anyone. Look at that beauty. I love it so much. Coin Vigilante made a perfect Bitcoin watch. That's the perfect, subtle, elegant way to go out there and show that you are a Bitcoiner. And that watch brand is Bitcoin only. And Coin Vigilante just dropped a completely new and amazing Genesis edition of their watch collections. You have the date of the first ever mined Bitcoin block in there, and of course also the block height and which epoch we are currently in. I love the level of detail they put in this masterpiece, and make sure to check out those amazing Coin Vigilante timepieces down in the descriptions. I love those watches so much. If you watch or listen to my podcast on a regular basis, I guess you already bought some Bitcoin. And now the most important step is to keep the Bitcoin. Keep them secure in a hardware wallet. My personal recommendation for hardware wallet is the BitBox. It's super secure. It's simple to set up. It's also a perfect gift for a friend who has still their Bitcoin on an exchange. And you can get a 5% discount with the code Robin at the checkout. Visit bitbox.swiss/Robin to get your BitBox. And the next step is to really level up your sovereignty as an individual. You have to have the most secure self-custody setup. You have to secure your own devices. You have to protect your privacy. You have to set up an inheritance plan. And depending on where you live, you even want to have a plan B, a citizenship where you can move in case something goes really wrong. And through all those steps, the Bitcoin way is guiding you through step by step. And if you visit thebitcoinway.com/partners/Robin, you even get a 30-minute free call to find out how you can level up your sovereignty. Interesting, yeah. I mean, the internet is also just here for like 2 decades, basically. I mean, it has been maybe 3 decades, depending on where you put the starting date of it on. But it's kind of fascinating how far we already came from. We first needed electricity to have something like internet, then we need internet to have something like AI, have something like Bitcoin, and have something like Uber, social media, all the other things, freedom of speech that came with that. And it's going faster and faster, and I think we are just on the first inning of seeing what this can bring to humanity. I think we're not even close to the middle point of any adoption when it comes to internet or Bitcoin or AI or anything like. We're just at a starting point.
Yeah, can we speak even about the internet if there is no native value transfer, right? So I don't think even like that there is. It's still beta of the internet. You can publish website and you can communicate with people, send text to each other. But if you cannot send value, is it internet? Hopefully in the 50, 100 years, we could say, if you can't send things digitally, is it really internet? So yes, the adoption is not 100% yet, because the potential of what these technologies of communication and of, I don't know, transport, energy, money can bring to us. I love science fiction. So thinking about this things, even what could happen, is just fascinating to me. And I'm glad actually that I'm born and that we live in such times that we can witness those changes. maybe we are not ready for them. Maybe our kids are not ready for the world of social media. Maybe this philosophy of common culture of Western world is not ready for decentralized money. But I'm in for the ride, and it's fun to observe it and experiment and see that that I couldn't play around with AI 5 years ago to such extent as I can do today. So I'm glad of technological changes, of development. I only can hope that it brings freedom. I don't know what are your biggest hopes about this. Do you hope to meet AI, like general artificial intelligence, and talk with a computer, or do you hope for space travel? Mm,
I do hope that I don't have to do my dishes. And then there's a robot going around the house and doing all the weird work that we have to do, like laundry, like vacuum cleaning. Like vacuum cleaning, I already have a robot, but like all the things that we do that I think are not really necessary for a human being to do that work, like cleaning and stuff like that. A robot should do that. I think we should really move fast towards that future where humans can spend their scarce time and brain power towards bigger questions than doing dishes. Nothing against doing dishes, but
I
I
can think
think
about many things when I do dishes, like otherwise I wouldn't be able to like digest some of my thoughts. So some of this stuff which kind of look brainless give space for this creativity, maybe.
But I think it's better to just go for a walk in the nature. Like if you wanna like think about things, I get what you're saying because I also do it right now. Like when I do laundry and the dishes, I usually don't have a podcast running. Sometimes I do have a podcast running, but I usually don't because it's like the time where I can just set off my my brain. But I like doing more like just walking through a forest where there's nothing, just me in the forest. It's even better for me to like offset and like derail myself a little bit from the normal world. But that's kind of what I'm hoping for in the future, where humanity can ask the bigger question and can really go towards really big goals of like, or how do we civilize other planets, or like there are like big questions, and then there's creativity. We need people that are creative with art and culture. I think that's a part that is really, really big. For example, Joe Rogan, when he launched his podcast, he needed 5 years to get it to a state where it's profitable. Now, if you launch a podcast, it's way quicker possible because the culture space is already way more evolved and is way bigger already. And I
So is it
think
quicker? Maybe it's more difficult because there is more little Joe Rogans out there.
I think it's way easier. Like when Joe Rogan started, I don't know, like he started 16 years ago. Like there was no discovery from YouTube. There was no handbooks on how to do a podcast and how to distribute things. He was the only one doing, and he got a really big crowd, and he was also a comedian. So it was not even that hard for him to do because he was already a comedian. He was in UFC. He did a lot of things to have a successful podcast actually. But he needed 5 years to make the podcast profitable, and
Did
it's
you
not
break
like
even already?
I broke even after 4 months. Like
Nice.
there's no cost of doing a podcast. Like there is, I mean,
Okay, yeah, break
obviously,
even. Maybe it's a wrong. Yeah, but is it like
like
profitable for you that
I,
you counting your time and involvement? Yes, nice.
exactly, like the break even point is really quickly reached because you need maybe let's say if we calculate all the tools that I currently use and really need, maybe there's like 100 to 300 euros per month that you need for software licenses and things to make the process easy. But you can do it for zero. Like you can break even after right when you start, because there's no cost to that. You already have a phone. That's all you need to start a podcast. But if you ask of like, okay, what is the break-even point of me reaching a higher salary, or higher profit than my previous salary was? I reached that point after, I think, 8 or 9 months. Now, granted, I put in enormous amount of work and I went all in and I worked like 70 hours a week. Like I just went completely bonkers on, on my podcast. But it's possible. And I was not famous. I'm still not famous. Like I was not a comedian on the side who has an audience. I was not a successful entrepreneur. In fact, that's podcast is my first business that I started. I didn't have anything that gave me leverage. Like I didn't have a book to start with. Like if you have some audience or
Well, now
some
you can write a book, and podcast would be your leverage. So you started with podcast.
exactly, yeah, like now you can do that. But my point was like, I think we have way more room in the future to do creative things and to ask bigger questions and do bigger tasks than doing. I don't want to restrict it to laundry and dishes, but and if you want to do laundry and dishes, you can still have the option to do that yourself. But for example, I bought the robot vacuum cleaner, and now my floors are really good all the time, and I don't have to do the cleaning myself. I bought back some of my time, and at time, like human time, is the most valuable thing on earth. Then there's Bitcoin. Like human time, I think is the most valuable thing that you can possibly have, and I think that's what I'm hoping for, that everyone can choose what to do with their time. And they can do laundry and dishes if they really want to, but they can opt out of that also. And humanity and all individual human beings can kind of choose what they really like to do, and we get to a state where things are a little bit more. I think we evolve over time anyways. If you look back sorry for the tangent, but if you look back like 400 years ago, the richest man alive 400 years ago couldn't do what we both, two normal blabs, can do. Like he couldn't just phone someone on the other side of the world and talk with them. He couldn't fly with a plane just in the middle. Like almost everyone that is watching here probably has the financial capabilities of buying an airplane ticket today and leaving the country tomorrow in some other country. The richest man alive, like hundreds of years ago, couldn't do that. So that's what I'm kind of mean with that. Like our standard of living and where we spend our time will massively evolve, but we still all have work. But the work will change completely. And I do hope for those bigger ideas of like civilizing other planets, maybe, and focusing more on things. And maybe it's actually I was recently on a invited on a talk in Austria, and there was I gave a presentation on Bitcoin, and my precursor, the talk before me, he talked also on the idea that we are kind of moving into an abundant future with Bitcoin, where we get so rich a civilization that we have to figure out what human beings are doing. And there will be some human beings that just play video games all day long, because we don't need so many workers anymore. And we don't need so many people to work anymore, because we have a really abundant future where most of the things are digital, most of the things are really cheap. And even to buy like one robot that helps you with all the house costs you just like one day of work. I'm really hopeful for what the future brings and where we are going with Bitcoin, AI, technology, Uber, and all the things.
I don't think we can see what your precursor described in our lifetimes. If we could, it will be for a small subset of the human population. Already there is small subset that plays only video games and they don't have to work, right? But for such changes to happen for whole planet, yes, we need Bitcoin, because otherwise fiat monetary system will only bring more inequality, and it will just suck resources from those at the bottom of, let's say, cantillon pyramid. So yes, in this regard, I guess we need Bitcoin for such vision to happen. But some people could argue that this technological progress can be possible without, and it is, right. Those planes and the internet, and the computer games and vacuum cleaners also were done, and this progress was created because without Bitcoin. But maybe you could point that because of the extortion of fiat system, that many people cannot afford it, as a result of the fiat system, and only few people can create such companies and then use products of theirs.
I guess the argument there is like, if we move into more and more digital world and more technology world, there's only one thing that you cannot copy, and it's Bitcoin. Like that seems to be for me the major thing of like, if we move towards more digital, more technology, and even more AI and all those things, there's only one thing that nobody can ever make more of, and that's kind of Bitcoin. And it's, but yeah, we I wanted to get also into Albi, but we kind of went into all different topics.
Joe Rogan experience. Let's
Yeah, really
pretend we
cool.
are experts on technology and human development, as we've been for the last 40 minutes. No, we can continue. Now we can talk about. I can talk about Albi. At least this is something I know more about, and without pretending. Yeah, guys, whoever of your listeners is into Lightning Network, and I guess most of guys are interested in it, they probably know what is Albi. Albi, it's hard to describe, because it started as a project maintaining the Lightning browser extension, and that's actually where the name comes from, LBE. And this extension enabled users to use their Lightning nodes on the browser, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, so they could you have their wallet from their node, but in the browser. So then you could tip online, you could just send, receive, see your transactions, and basic features of wallets. But over the last 3 years, we grew, we evolved, at least on the horizontal plane, and we maintain lots of projects, all of them open source. We have a Lightning node we released and maintain, called Albi Hub, which is also free and open source, and it's our recent product from the last year, that makes we believe it's a next step in Lightning self-custody and node running, because it makes it so much easier, and it's now so much more versatile to run Lightning node on almost any device without that much hassle as it used to be. We have a mobile wallet called Albi Go. We maintain lots of libraries for developers, so if you are a regular end user, you maybe not notice it, but if you are a developer, and probably some of you guests are, your audience, and you want to implement Lightning or Nostr somehow in your app, we have, and you can check our GitHub, lots of interesting libraries that makes it much easier to implement sats into your app economy. But yes, so there's three biggest products of Albi: is the browser extension, the Albi Go mobile wallet, and Albi Hub, the Lightning node. But recently we've been providing this custodial Lightning wallets. Now we call it Albi account. That was because behind each of this Albi, mobile wallet or browser extension, there has to be some Lightning node. And for most of the users, it was super easy because they were using Albi's node, custodial setup. But at the beginning of this year, we sunsetted, we closed down this node, and now all of our users are self-custodial. So it's quite a pivot. it makes it maybe a bit more difficult for users to use Lightning Network, because there is, at least with us, you cannot just register and use Lightning and use our node, but because we don't want your sats. So it takes some effort, but it makes, and we believe that it brings the future of actually decentralized and self-custodial Lightning Network closer. Because otherwise, if users of today Lightning Network, which is still super small, would be so much used to using third party as their Lightning wallet, I don't think that the evolution of this network and this protocol would be in a proper direction. So we made a decision to switch to a fully self-custodial setup, which yes, annoyed maybe some users, but with overwhelming majority comes with a very positive feedback, and there is rather appreciation from the ecosystem that we made this step. So whoever haven't tried it yet, guys, try running your node with Albi Hub. Is so much easier. You can be in control of your sats. That's why we came here, right? To be your own bank, not to use Albi as your bank.
We often talk about how important it is to take self-custody on a main layer.
Yeah.
What is the importance of self-custody on Lightning? Many arguers like, oh, like I only have $50 on there or like $100 in there. I don't really care if I get rug pulled. It's a different discussion if you have like maybe like a whole Bitcoin on Coinbase, then you're like, oh, like you should maybe take it off and take self-custody. What is the importance of self-custody on layer 2?
Well, of self-custody, the control is important, and the fact that no one could rug pull you, exit with your money, but also privacy. The bigger you are as a custodian, the more you need to comply with some regulations, which are against the privacy of users, which can give away your data, who you transact with, for what, and how much do you use Lightning with some regulatory agencies. So the privacy is a big factor. But today, maybe yes, if user use $50 to zap here and there, they don't need to. Self custody on Lightning is not for everyone, because they don't need to run their node and pay for the energy or hassle, have all this hassle with it. But to scale Bitcoin, there will not be only 5,000 BTC locked in Lightning channels as it is today, but most of the transactions that we will be doing in this hyper-Bitcoinized world would be, we believe, on a Lightning network, but on some another layer that is designed to scale Bitcoin, not on chain. So we need to explore that, and we need to explore and build in the direction that it will be decentralized in the future, as I stated in the earlier, right? Lightning Network is not just three companies and Blink wallet of Satoshi and Albi sending tokens to each other, but if we want, yes, free money, and if we want that this scaling layer would be decentralized, and this is our vision, we need to take care of self-custody now. And not all of you guys need to have this mission in mind, but all of us would appreciate the more everyone at least tries node running, tries how it is. It's a good feeling to zap on Stacker News or on Nostr, to learn how channels work, how self-custody works. There is, it's hard to convince someone like on the street, hey, you need to try Lightning Network because you can zap on Nostr, and on top of that you need to run your own node to have a wallet for this Lightning Network. Yes, there is not, it seems like there is no practical answer. Why would somebody, why would I go on Nostr? And I guess still we are all early adopters, and most of our users are doing this to experiment, but also in hope of building something greater. And we need to do it together with podcasters. I believe you also get some sats on value for value model. for this with our developers and with users. So this pivot or shift to self-custody maybe is not the best business wise step that would bring quick back to Albi, but we are driven by mission, and our investors are too. That's why we still have resources to build it, because Albi doesn't charge almost anything for all of these tools I mentioned. And with hopes that in the future it would pay off.
Interesting. It, could that be like when we talk about future scaling of Bitcoin and what we see with Nostr, what we see with early apps that connect to that, with podcasting 2.0, with Fountain, with all those great things that is going on? Is that maybe the new kind of form of internet where we have a native token with Bitcoin in it?
I don't know if it is. For me, it feels like yes. I guess you can also share this feeling with me that when you explore this, you can go on getalbi.com/discover. We maintain there's like 130 different places where you could use unique places where you can use Lightning and Nostr, and there are like discussion boards, fax interfaces, exchanges, some IRC chats where you need to zap to post a message, and various experimental unique projects that using them gives me this vibe of old internet or maybe new internet. Mm, when you scroll the legacy social media and Twitter or Facebook, you do it and then oh yeah, this is it. You do it and you kind of feel bad. Why do you even spend so much money? There is so much time on this. There is not that much good content. It's not even fun anymore to explore the internet just scrolling X or Facebook. But doing this on Nostr and exploring these different Nostr clients or apps where things maybe not necessarily work in the most smooth manner, or they are not the most beautiful, or there is not that much usage, but you get into these little corners of this new internet where you meet interesting people, where you see people who build stuff that maybe no one uses, but there is this vibe, there is this energy, and you have this feeling like from the early days of exploration. At least like early 2000 were my early days of internet exploration. And back then, yes, you got into some corners of the internet, some blogs where some niche projects were being collaborated on. Today, I don't remember where on legacy internet, even on Reddit, you could find such places that give you this vibe and feeling. While being on Nostr and Lightning, it does. So it is also a fun ride for me and for us.
It's amazing how much there's on. Like that's just for the people that just listen, that's there's like getalbi.com. How is it? Getalbi.com/discover, and you can basically see so many apps, and those are all apps that connect with Albi, or how is that working?
Yeah, the key to curate is that these are the websites or platforms or apps that you could use Albi with. So there is not like everything from the Bitcoin ecosystem, every project, but something that you could use Albi extension with, or you could pay to get Albi address, or use your Nostr keys with it. So I guess it's a largest such list of active projects still maintained, because there used to be some of them, but I think it's the largest such curated list. There is already, you see, 8 AI tools. One of them is to build chains of language models. Another is to pay with sats for various, there is like 30 different models that you pay with sats per usage. So you don't have to subscribe to OpenAI, but you can use pay per question, and you can pay per question, or you can do web search like Perplexity does, but with AI paid with Bitcoin. So you don't have to sign up for these big corps that sell your data, but there is some team of young developers that you can see that they are Bitcoiners. They are often on Nostr and discuss openly how they want to build this tool, what's driving them, and you can support them by using, by testing, by giving feedback. And doing this is fun. And most of these tools I actually use, I actually see usage. It's not like I do it only for experimenting, but I actually use Bitcoin prediction market because I love predicting and making money on this. I use paper question because this is my main go-to place to use AI, or Stacker News to have discussions. So yeah, this for example, right? Lightning cuts. You can pay with sats and you can do a donation. I guess if you click on use the force, you will do a donation, and then some food will come for cats. And there is a live stream in Switzerland. There are two cats, Yuri and Kite or something. Yeah, Kala. Yuri and Kala, and they
What the
might come.
heck?
They might come to eat food that you paid for them with the lightning sats, right? Why would you do it, right? Why would you do it? I guess for fun, to meet these interesting people in Switzerland, to see what's possible with um, with these technologies. I don't know what could be possible with it. I can see so many more different use cases if this gets adopted. If people could feed maybe animals in some forest, I don't know if it's good to feed animals in forests with sats. But these cats in Zurich will for sure enjoy some karma.
Wait, I would like to. Can I put there something? It's like what is the want to add a note,
Yeah, I don't
Robin?
know. Let's try it. If you add a note, there will be a comment section. You pay the invoice, and I guess this little Yoda, there is this baby Yoda figure. I guess that's where the food will come out from.
Wait,
And
I will try that now on.
I remember
Let me
there
quickly.
is also. I'm not sure if it's on this Discover, but there is also a similar project with chickens. If you Google Lightning Polo or if Pollo, Spanish, or if your listeners Google Lightning chickens or Lightning goats, there is also a live stream of goats where you can feed goats with sats.
Okay, I have done it. Oh, now it's here.
You see your comment, and is there food? Oh, Yoda moved. Did you see Baby Yoda has moved?
Baby Yoda moved. Oh man, that's so great.
I'm not sure if there is food came out.
Oh, I think it's like in 37 minutes. There's now food again, something like that.
Yeah, otherwise, like this cat would be, they would die of overeating. So that's good that somebody applied a rate limit for
Oh,
this food.
oh man, but that's fun, yeah. And that's kind of the whole idea of Bitcoin, right? Like you want to have those interactive apps, and then when you have actual value as a native token with like an open permissionless system, that's just amazing. And that's a fun thing. Obviously, that's a gimmick, but we can have so many great things with that. That's really cool. I like that. Bitcoin map, obviously, yeah, really cool. I like those things. I have to. I have to look through them because
You can
some
pay
of them
for
I
a
actually know.
VPN. Yeah, some of them you said
Yeah, for example, we had from how is that pronounced? Castra.
Caster,
I
I
had
guess.
him on, and he is also doing that pull it up Jamie. That's really fascinating. There's actually, when you go to pull that up Jamie, and you go like self custody, you can actually see, I think, my podcast, even a podcast search, yeah, and Bitcoin, and I think
It
I.
indexes the transcripts of your podcast, and it does search,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
So, for example, this is one of my recent podcasts with Bitcoin Dad, and there he uses the transcripts of the recent podcast. It's really cool. Also, here I had former Red Bull CEO on, and that was
Nice.
just really cool one. And then you can search things here somehow,
But
and
now you did it for
that's
free, right? You didn't even pay. You didn't
I
pay for
didn't
that.
pay anything now. Uh, yeah, but you can see here the available sources. So like Diary of a CEO is here, Walker is here, I'm here, Robert Breedlove, great Cypher Dean's podcast in Bitcoin, obviously. Yeah, really cool. Joe Rogan also. Here you can see the Joe Rogan experience. So like that's a really cool feature also. And yeah, Corny Chat, Hive Talk, Bitcoin. It's really cool to see those
Oh yeah,
developments
exploring.
going
If
on.
somebody doesn't know this and at getalbi.com/discover, you would spend at least 3 days exploring these different use cases. So Bitcoin is not just send receive, but it's also feed cats.
Absolutely, yeah. And then I have to check back later if the cat got actually fed. It says like in 40 minutes there's the next feeding again. Really cool. We got off track again, but I like it.
It's
One
like
more
in
thing.
a computer game, the off tracks side quests are often more interesting than the clue.
It's definitely like that. I enjoy it the most. I don't know how the audience feels about that, but I do enjoy it the most when it just gets sideways. One thing I still want to get into is podcasting 2.0, value for value, and how does this all connect with Bitcoin. That's really interesting. Kind of the future of the creator economy. And I think Albi is also really interested and like really integrated in that already. How do you see that, and what are the developments that you see in that?
Mm, it's nice to see that there is adoption among podcasters who are not Bitcoiners. That they learn that with a traditional podcast they use this RSS. It's an old protocol with an XML files where they say where is the cover, where is the description, where is the MP3 file to listen this podcast from. And since 3 years, you could implement the value tag in this XML, which states to which node could sats be sent to the author of the podcast. And on top of that, some people use it, right? You do Fountain, you do Boost, but there can be more complicated setups. Like you need to pay to access some section of the file, or you can earn sats actually if you listen to ad. So there is some opportunities still unexplored, and I guess it will also take some time because it takes adoption from podcast hosting providers, from authors, listeners, etc. And then there is a huge industry of video. On this getalbi.com discover, you can find there is one platform that I know so far that does it. It's called IndieHub, indiehub.studio, that does video casting. I would call it video casting 2.0, where you stream sats per minute of watched video, and this sats later, when I don't know, you watch a movie, you rent like imagine Netflix but without a subscription, you pay per usage of the video, and per each minute you watch the film, these sats are being splitted automatically and streamed to a director, to cast, to crew, to a screenplay author, etc. Of course, there is not, there is not that much choice of films like you find on Netflix. There is not, from the indie hub perspective, there is not that much use as if they would be building probably on fiat money. But if the direction still goes into this through this road of towards hyper-Bitcoinization, they would such technologies would find its product market fit. I guess whole Lightning didn't, maybe not whole, but most of Lightning still didn't find product market fits, and it's all a kind of experimenting. Most projects, they don't yet make money, or they didn't break even. But yes, we are experimenting in hopes for this future. And in podcasting 2.0, video casting 2.0, in general, paying for content directly to the author is a good step towards this deplatformization of the internet that we already complained today about, and many people do complain, because it avoids intermediaries, and you can pay directly to authors of blog or video or podcast in a really decentralized manner, peer-to-peer, without him maybe with some small percentage going to a podcast hosting or this VOD platform, right? But in general, it goes straight to the straight to the author. So it brings it brings this promise that internet was bringing to us, but didn't deliver because it was captured for various reasons by these big platforms. So it's renaissance, I guess. I hope, maybe not, I guess, because it's not happening yet on a such scale that we can call it renaissance. But on podcasting, yes, there is many such apps like Fountain, like Podhome, like Podverse, and I can see that content creators are much more receptive to our vision and this revolution that we believe digital monetization and micropayments with Bitcoin bring, and this value for value model. Mainly because their industries are one of the most captured. If you are a music creator and you are on Spotify, or if you're a filmmaker and you're on Netflix, you really don't see that much dollar that the user paid to watch your film, and to surface you need to put so much more work, while when you show some author, hey, look, with a Fountain or with Indie Hub, you can get directly money, and there is comments attached to this money from users in real time. Their eyes get big, I guess because of the specific of the industry they are in, but it's uplifting to see how receptive even those who are or even this is so uplifting specifically if they are not Bitcoiners, but they are artists, and you tell them, hey, look, there is, you can go on Tunester and you can stream your concert, and there is no middleman on the payment way. There is no big Universal Studios or whatever corporate company is there, but it's on protocol, and the people who will watch it directly can send it to you. They are really receptive to this. So I guess that's why Albi also got so much involved in the recent years into podcasting and into this value for value model, because it's not also only podcast, but also text, videos, graphic, etc. Mm, because because of such audience, we can see in practice is very receptive, and they are nice frontier to get somebody to Bitcoin. And yeah, I'm still driven also by this vision. I know that for some it might sound utopian, because it's not yet that much manifested, that the change of the thesis that I'm going to is that the monetization, the method of monetization influences the content, meaning that if the way that content creators are, if the content creators are monetized through ads that are displayed on the opening of your content, doesn't matter what your content is, and you are monetized just for opening, that it incentivizes clickbait and incentivizes the low content appealed by algorithms to those that will be the most receptive to the masses. So monetization methods influence today monetization methods influence the low quality content, while if you have value for value model, and if you have direct interaction between the consumer of the content, the audience, and the creator, podcaster, videographer, if there, with this monetization method you can attach some communication like those boostograms, if those this monetization can be done in real time, in micropayment there is no like threshold from $10 a month, there is no your data, it can be done anonymously, then the creator of this content is incentivized to appeal to those people who actually read it, who actually consume it, and will create content better tailored to their audience. So I think that this value for value model incentivizes creation of better content, better quality of content, but it is yet to see on the large scale. So this is something that we dream of, but I think it's already happening. Looking at Stacker News or Nostr, it's happening, but maybe it's happening because we are in a bubble. But still, I see that the content there is better than on the legacy internet, and I think it's also in a large part thanks to it being on a value for value model, not on a model of hey, sign up for a big platform and get money from ads, or hey, pay me a bigger amount per month so you can get behind the paywall. So this is kind of a vision that I still need to verbalize to myself better, and it will happen when we observe more example of it. But that's also something that we believe at Albi, that the micropayments through money, digital, through money native to the internet, incentivize creation of better content. So hopefully, in a hyper-Bitcoinized world, we will see better movies, better podcasts, and better vlogs.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I don't know if you get rid of ads. Like I think value for value is amazing. I think like that's like the everyone should enable that, and everyone should flourish in that. But I don't know. It's such an amazing model of like having ads in the video and playing that from the platform, because it's getting the responsibility off from the creator, and you can pay the creator, plus you can still do value for value. I don't know, like ads seems to be probably something that sticks around and will also be implemented in Nostr. I feel like there will probably be products coming out of like you can either pay some amount to watch it without ads, and I don't know.
I'm
like
really surprised that some clients didn't implement ads to monetize themselves, because many of these clients are, almost none of them are making money. Many of them are just done with grants or with open source contributions, and it's hard to hope that they will be developed further. So I still I'm a bit surprised that I didn't see this model yet happening to clients. But yes, I agree with you. I didn't mean that this value for value will replace. Oh, am I disconnected? Okay, but it might be reconnected later, this reverse side. So let me finish the sentence. I don't think that this value for value will totally replace the ad model, but the more monetization, more ways to monetize, more methods of monetization will give more opportunities for content creators, and it will hopefully drive the quality upwards. I'm not sure if you heard me, because we had some connection issues.
Yeah, I heard the last part. I think I got a little bit, but I missed some some small parts. But I'm really I'm really looking forward to value for value being implemented more and more. And the biggest thing right now for me that I see is Fountain, where I'm like, okay, people actually they can consume the podcast for free. They don't have to pay anything for that. And if they consume it on Fountain, there's also no ads placed in between them. Like YouTube plays ads in between them. So that's already extremely cool to have Fountain, where they could do it, consume it for free, but they still stream something, they still boost something, they still give something extra just to show an appreciation of the content, which is that feels unreal. Like it feels better to get $10 in satoshis on Fountain than then to get $100 on YouTube for an ad revenue stuff. Mm-hmm. So that it feels just so much better because it comes directly from a person, and YouTube is just like paying you to have the game theory of like you have to create on YouTube to make more money. So that feels really good. I just think ads is such an attractive economic model for the creators, for the platforms, and for the advertisers. So like it's a three ways win situation, where I think they will always stick around, and they will also be implemented in Nostr probably. I don't know, maybe not. It would be great to have a world without advertisements and ads. I just don't see it. Maybe I'm maybe I'm too much in the fiat world still.
Maybe you need to get ad block. But it
Yes.
will not avoid sponsored content, right? You might not call it an ad, like I don't know, ad these little blocks on the website that you are using. But if you will mention some nice product of Bitcoin, is it ad or not? Maybe if somebody send you a hardware wallet and then you slightly mention it, is it ad or not? Yes, definitely. We will never avoid marketing, and I think it's good. That's how we learn about features of product, and that's how products actually thrive to be better and cater to their audience. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also having. It will be really fun to see in the future how this develops, because YouTube is already quite good in figuring out what people want to watch in terms of what they actually like. YouTube has two figures basically that they see the click through rate. That's what you are talking about with clickbait, but they also combine that with the average view duration. So if you have a thumbnail and a title that a lot of people click on, but then they're disappointed and directly go out of the video, YouTube will just not push the video at all. Like you have to have both things. You have to have the high click-through rate where people click on the video, but you also have to have people sticking around in the video, which is different from an incentive point of like you kind of watch what a person is doing on a platform. When you have value for value, it's like you watch what the person is giving on actual financial energy. Like if you're sapping Satoshis, you are basically transferring financial energy to someone, which should be the biggest indicator that he wants to see more of that. So I'm also really interested to see how future algorithms will be developed on podcast and video and short form content platforms in the future. If Nostr and all those platforms are successful, will be really fun to see how. And Nostr, you can choose your own algorithm, right? You can choose your client, you can choose your things.
That's
Will
the
be
point.
really fun to see which ones are the successful ones.
Yeah, we will see many of them, and we will. Now I'm trying like different clients every day, just to compare them and have different experience. And some people stay on one, and other people will watch you on Zapstream, and other will watch you on Sats.gg. But when YouTube controls your payout schemes and monetization, then yes, you need to gamify and cater to their whatever agenda is, and they're not even have an agenda, but also algorithms. So they control also, by controlling the monetization method, they control your content. Maybe not directly, but you sometimes need to think, oh, I actually should do a 40-minute film, not a 35, because then they would fit two advertisements within the film, not one. Or maybe I shouldn't talk about a specific group from Middle East, because I will not appear on the main page. While if we are talking about decentralized monetization method, let's say, or a protocol for value for value, then yes, one client will use one algorithm for showing your content, another will take 5% and will not implement ads, another will be paid with subscription and will share only 50% if you don't talk about this group from Middle East, etc. Right? So then users and content creators will have a choice where to meet and at what price. While today, well, probably they also still have a choice, but most of them are unfortunately on one or two platforms.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really fascinating how big the network effect currently is of a of a video platform like YouTube, and that there is not even like there's no platform that comes close in terms of users. like not even close. Like Rumble is so small against it. Twitter is really small against YouTube. All the platforms that just try it, even Facebook don't really has a competitor against YouTube. They are competitors in terms of YouTube Shorts. Like there's TikTok, there's Instagram Reels, but I'm fascinated how big that network effect of the platform is, even though they censor things, even though they have their own flaws. So I'm really looking forward to the future of content creators and the creator economy. I will be really fun to see when we have more interoperability between those
Yes, this is
platforms.
the key, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
This is the
Yeah,
key,
I'm
that
really
there is
looking forward to that.
interoperability, that you post your, I don't know, on one server you post your video and it can be shown on multiple clients. Unlike you need to upload it to YouTube, you need to upload it to Twitch. They don't allow other clients, or at least limited to have other clients to watch it, right? So there is no interoperability. You need to use their wallet. You need to use their method of upload. While Nostr hopefully changes the way the internet is structured on many levels, right? How the data is pulled from servers, what wallet you can connect as creator or consumer. Interoperability, I think, is the key here. And Nostr makes it beautiful, right? I remember that there used to be this communication, like the messengers in the old internet. You could use like this Mirinda, XMPP, and even Facebook was talking this protocol. There was like protocol for communication, and many apps could use it, right? Like HTTP is also used by multiple browsers. While today, when you have account on Facebook, you cannot DM somebody from Twitter. So it's closing people in this little ghettos of the internet, which doesn't let the information to be exchanged freely, which limits our creativity, and you need to waste so much more time on uploading to Twitch, on registering to YouTube payouts program, etc. Yeah, I am also excited what you guys as content creators will create when this all becomes much more open and easy.
I don't know if I change a lot. I just like to have conversations. I don't know if
Yes, good.
how this changes. I do. I don't even do a lot of short form contents currently, but yeah, like will be fun to see how content changes once algorithms and that things changes. But I'm really looking forward to that also. But yeah, we we already 1.5 hours in. One question that I asked each and every one of my guests is, what can we learn from you besides Bitcoin?
You mean like if somebody wants to call me or learn from mm, my life?
It's interesting how this question. I maybe I have to rephrase it once, but I want to get something outside of Bitcoin in there. And whatever you want to add in here, you can add in here, like from your personal life, but also just a learning or a topic or whatever you want to share outside of Bitcoin. That's the only reason.
I myself also a subscriber, follower, fan, advocate for the philosophy of objectivism by Ayn Rand. And it's 60 years older than Bitcoin, but so many mutual concepts there are with Bitcoin maximalism that I'm a bit surprised why Rand is not yet that popular among Bitcoiners. It will change. Uh, I'm recommending anyone to check it out. It's not just about free market and capitalism, but it's a structured, coherent approach to life, understanding what is good for you as a human being, how to discover truth, mm, what means to take to drive your life properly, philosophy, where capitalism is just a little part of it. it helps having such, I guess, people who maybe subscribe to some religions or some other philosophies, they can confirm that being able to structurize your understanding of the world and approach and some code of morality really helps with life, mostly because most of the actions that I do, maybe even if they are not all of them critically considered from the perspective of objectivism philosophy or any philosophy, I am convinced that what I do is both moral and practical. I feel myself very coherent in life because I discovered what is good and what is bad for me. It really helps to just glide smoothly through life, to discover some philosophy. And if somebody would like to check it, I really recommend reading Ayn Rand, Virtue of Selfishness, out of her non-fiction work, or Romantic Manifesto, which really help structurize lots of aspects of life and thought.
Interesting. I love that. And I also love that the end routine of the podcast is now fitting really nicely with the optimism and stuff like that. We have an end routine in the podcast where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest actually is. And your question is, what is the biggest thing that Bitcoin does not fix?
Biggest, okay. Oh, the limits of space-time travel and the speed of light. I guess we need some different means to break through this. And if we actually dream, as you mentioned, about colonizing other worlds, probably it wouldn't be possible without bypassing or somehow breaking the limits of the physics as we understand today. And I don't think Bitcoin will help this, help fix it. It's on a much deeper level than Bitcoin fixes. Bitcoin maybe comes out of this rules of physics, but this needs to be fixed elsewhere. I'm not sure if humanity can do it. I would love to see it during my lifetime, because then it would be so much more interesting. But it already is, and I'm satisfied with this 300,000 kilometers per second and all of the different limits that come out of it.
Absolutely. Really cool. Thank you so much, Tomek, for
And
being on the show.
when I ask a question to the next guest.
Yes, I usually wait
Okay.
till after the recording, but you can do it directly now. Like let's hear your question for the next guest.
Oh, but I don't have it, so it's actually your approach is better. I will send you after the recording.
Yeah, I usually want to keep like I want to give you a little bit time to think about the
Thanks,
question.
thanks. No, I thought that you just didn't give me this option. Like, okay, his answer was so stupid, I don't let him ask question.
Everyone is allowed to ask a question for the next guest. But yeah, thank you so much, Tomek, for being on. Before I let you go, where can people find you, ask you questions, and reach out to you?
I'm on Nostr. It's NPUB14WXQC. I, I almost did recognize it. I need to maybe train a bit more. It's Tomek K. I kind of rebranded my all handles among like Instagram and Twitter and Nostr like 2 years ago into It's Tomek K, so it's easier maybe for like international people to find it. But no, I know that some people would have problem and they would put Tomek. No, it's ITSTOMEKK. That's how people can find it on Twitter, Nostr. I'm basically everywhere. Also, it's Tomek K at getalbi.com. And this is my NIP 05, my LUT16, my email. So whoever wants to get in touch about Ayn Rand, objectivism, prediction markets, another topic of mine. If you guys are visiting Poland, or if you are into Bitcoin films or films at all, or have some questions about Albi, hit me up. I'm super happy to anytime get contacted by listeners to podcasts. So yeah, happy to even hear any hellos from you guys. It was a pleasure talking with Robin. You guys have a great host here, and if you if you listen to this guy, you are in good hands of your podcast voice in your home.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I will also give your contact link as always in the
Oh, of
description.
course,
So
yeah,
like
links below.
one contact link is always from the guest in there, and yeah, looking forward to it. By the way, I was monitoring the cat, and it will be done it will be fed in 4 minutes. So I will be looking at it. Unfortunately, we cannot see it on the podcast, but yeah, thank you so much, Tomek, for being on. Also, thank you so much for everyone that is watching and listening, for joining us today. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Bye bye.